Hey guys, it's Jen. I just wanted to come on real quick and talk about a little bit more about communication with our teens. You know, we think that communication is hard enough already as it is with our teens, but it opens up a completely different definition of difficult when it comes time to have the friend conversation. What I mean by this is, it's going to be even harder to communicate with your teen when you think that they're hanging around with the wrong crowd. And we can either approach this situation the wrong way and it can completely backfire on us, or we can approach the situation the right way. I know that when I was a teen, I absolutely hated when my mom would tell me, you can't hang out with this person and you can't hang out with that person. It was like the worst feeling in the world. And I hated to, have to tell people like, sorry, I can't hang out with you, or my mom won't let me hang out with you. It's hard. Now as a parent, I completely understand why she did that. And it's different hearing it as a teenager than saying it as a parent. And of course, when you have this conversation with your kids, they're going to be mad, just like I was mad with my mom when she had this conversation with me. And over the past couple years, I've encountered this situation twice. The first time I did it it was completely wrong. I was wrong with everything I said. I did as any parent, most parents do, and I criticized my son's friends. Which in turn made him defend his friends, and we had countless arguments, and it made things really difficult. Now, I was lucky enough that eventually my son saw exactly what I was talking about, but it could even have gotten to the point where he chose to become defiant, completely disregard my wishes, and hang out with those kids anyways. I was lucky and it didn't go that way. But the second time that I had to have this conversation with him, I approached it differently. Instead, I was more aware of my opinions, so before I started the conversation, so that I didn't come across to him as criticizing his friends and who he's choosing to hang out with. And I was more specific and I was more clear. Instead of just saying, I don't like your friends and I don't like this person, I don't want you hanging out with them, I gave him examples of behaviors that I had seen that I didn't like, and that, of course he was upset at first, and I let him have his time. I let him have his time to be upset, and then we had a conversation about it. We talked about the behaviors that were expected at our house and the behaviors that weren't going to be tolerated. And then we set limits, and with those limits came consequences. So if he didn't, listen, or he chose to hang out with those people anyways, there was going to be consequences for his actions. Now, as a mom, I know that it can be really, really hard to follow through with consequences, but it's the most important thing that we can do, because we want our kids to know that we're serious and we need to be taken seriously, and they have to follow the rules, or they're going to be held, there's going to be consequences, and they're going to be held responsible for their decisions that they made. It went over much easier the second time, and I'm actually glad that I approached it that way to begin with. There's a saying, and my son has heard it a lot lately. It's, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Simply, it just kind of means like, choose wisely. You are who you hang out with, and your friendships can have a huge impact on which direction your life is going to go. So if you want your life to go in the right direction, then you need to make sure that you're hanging out with the right people and doing the right things. Since the second approach for this conversation went over much nicer and much easier, I will definitely be approaching more conversations this way if this happens to come up again. Hopefully it won't, because we want our kids to know, like, what qualities to look for in a friend. We want them to have friends that are going to want to see them succeed, and we don't want them to have friends that are okay with them getting in trouble. That's not what we want for our kids. Hopefully you guys can find this useful. Thanks for hopping on. Have a good night.